Okay, we are back Wednesday night. I'm having the great pleasure of return guest, my boy Byron here. I consider him the cowboy. I was told I was the Dallas Cowboy Whisperer by my friend Dink, but now Brian is the Cowboy Whisperer. This is we're going to get into a lot of stuff tonight. Fallout from the draft, of course. No country like old man. We decided to get an old running back. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. Uh, you know me, you know Byron. Hopefully you get to know us more. You got comments? Hit the comment section, troll us, talk about all this good stuff. We're just gonna get into it. So, recap of the draft has pretty much been overshadowed by "You're Like a Prophet." You said it. You posted it. You said it on Twitter. You talked about how they was not going to draft a running back for a particular reason. Elaborate a little bit more because you have gotten used to this. You know this. You've been covering this team for a long time. You know the front office. Take us through it. I mean, what was your reaction about what's going on? And you pretty much predicted it. You expected this.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to be right about it. That was the problem.
Yeah, I know. You
And and it's
had me
and it's
fall out the screen.
yeah, and that's why I had to apologize in advance for that. I was like, man, John like disappeared from what I'm saying, disappeared from the library. Yeah, I like, man, that's like I really didn't want to be correct about that situation, but also just knowing how every draft they're gonna do something, and it never fails with me. And just by them trading down, I'm glad they didn't trade up. Shout out to Reed, by the way, for being correct on that. We didn't have a fourth round pick because of the Trey
And
Lance trade,
they got a third. They ended up
and
getting
got a
a third.
third. Yeah, and so shout out to Reed for being correct on that, man. So we did trade down. We did get a fourth round pick, and so I was like, okay, cool. And lo and behold, they're going through the picks, and I'm like, man, because like after the second round, really after the third round, the third round we had two picks. I was like, yeah, they're
Yeah, and
really not gonna get
that
one.
was rumors. At least I heard that they were offered to trade down with the I guess when they got to the draft selection of the linebacker. I heard a fourth rounder, other draft capital, but it wasn't really clear what it was. It seemed like they had a chance to acquire another pick, but they seemed like they were just locked in at the position as opposed to gathering more picks potentially.
Yeah, potentially, but of course, it didn't go through. But just seeing the depth that we added, which I know we're going to get to that,
Hmm.
I was happy about that. Totally happy about that. But all in all, we know the family that's over this team,
Yes.
and they're going to do something that's going to raise your eyebrows fully. And I was like, he's going to come back for real. I know he is. I know he is. Please don't let this be right. Please don't let this be correct. Then lo and behold, agreeing to terms and depending on the physical, I was like, I knew they was gonna do this. And they and I was telling people, so I put it in my Facebook. I was like, hey, the reason they're not gonna draft a running back, right?
Exactly.
And one of my guys, he was like, well, they signed a undrafted free agent. I was like, that's signed. That's different from drafting.
Exactly. And they
And
didn't offer him a ton of money either. Like when they really go after somebody that they key in, usually it's a real the max whatever it is you can get an undrafted. And there was a guy from TCU, I forgot the kid's name. I think Andon Bailey, who was one
yeah,
of their 30-30 visits. He was undrafted. They didn't even go after him, which
yeah.
was which made me when that started to happen, I'm like, okay. I'm like, he's right. I was, I was
I
like,
said, "Oh my goodness, here we
I
go
said,
with this one."
yeah, he's right.
Well, we'll get to our reactions down the line, but yeah, let's go ahead and just recap. The
Yeah,
Cowboys.
let's go and recap the draft. So, first draft selection, uh, Guyton, the right tackle. How did you feel about that? I like the pick myself, considering all the other positions. I think he's a big athletic guy. He's played the left side, but he's played right more. But because of his athleticism, I think he can switch over to the left side. As long as they don't move him around, like they have did players in the past where they're kind of flexing them and just let him concentrate on the left side, I think they'll be fine. I don't know if he's not going to replace Tyron right out, but I think if given time with his athletic ability, him with Tyler Smith, it could turn out to be a good selection. What about yourself? What did you think?
I'm happy about it. I mean, they've been getting, linemen first round, which, like I had mentioned last week, I'm totally fine with that.
Hmm.
Like, you have to add depth to this offensive line. That is one thing I am worried about. I don't want them moving them around just like they did Tyler Smith. Um, they also did that too, be honest, Connor Williams, Terrence Steele, you name it. Everybody from that right side to that left side was moved around. And I'm
Hmm.
like, man, can y'all please stop doing this? Like, stick them to one position. But I understood because all the linemen were getting hurt.
Exactly.
And so I totally get it. I get it why they was doing that. But getting Tyler Guyton, I think there's going to be a great fit. I don't want them to move Tyler Smith. Please don't move him just to put
Yeah,
him there or
just put him in left guard
and
and
leave him
just
alone.
and just leave him alone and just
Yes.
let him roll. I think I liked him at tackle, but even when he was drafted, I kept telling a friend of mine his name Willie D. Washington. That left guard to me inside would be his best position, and I think that was proven last year. Just
Yes,
let just
indeed.
let him stay there, just solidify that left side, and just keep it moving.
Because I think what they're really going to do, or what they really are doing, is trying to find a replacement for Tyron Smith, and which we both know that should have been done years ago.
Yes.
But getting Tyler Guyton, hopefully that should be in the right direction. If
Hmm.
they're going to put him on that left side or leave Tyler on that left side, either way, you have to replace the position quick, fast, and in a hurry. So getting
Exactly.
Tyler Guyton had no problem with that.
Okay. What about the second selection, the defensive end? Was that surprising? I know they like Darius Robinson coming out, so I knew they was targeting a defensive end. I just didn't think they was going to do it in the second round.
Yeah, I was surprised about that too. But getting Marshawn, I thought that was cool because having Doris Armstrong and Dante Fowler, what I'm saying, just getting them through free agency, and so
Hmm.
now you're drafting a defensive end. So I think that's going to be great for him. Very tough guy, can pretty much great in rushing. So I like the fit because you have to think about how long is Demarcus Lawrence is going to be here,
Yes, I
and you
think
got and
he's
you got to find.
yeah, I think he's a Lawrence replacement.
Yes,
That's kind of like what I see, and also I think it says a lot about Sam Williams. In a certain.
it does. That's the reason why they got another linebacker, but we'll get to him also too. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm cool with Marshawn Keelan. Again, just like we said about Tyron Smith, we have another guy that can possibly be a replacement for another starter.
Exactly. I think he can help them this season too. I think he can at least be in the rotation. So I really had no problems with him. Third round, Cooper Beebe, kid from Kansas City, the guard who in the offseason, I think he's been working with Duke Merriweather as a center. What do you think about the pick? I love the pick myself. Uh, Even though I think you could have gotten a center much later. The kid from Georgia, he didn't go into the fifth round. But like Reed's talked about a particular type, and he just kind of failed. I think he's going to be a great pick. But what did you think of Cooper?
I was thinking versatility because, like you said, coming as a guard, and now they got him playing center. So it might be our center. We never know. But
True.
I do like the fact that we got Cooper BB versatility, which really comes into mind, and very tough guy, great ability to block. And I think it's sort of fact like I done seen some of his pancakes and stuff before too. So very tough guy. So like I said, versatility is what I'm thinking about. And again, another guy at the offensive line that you can move around.
Yes, you can.
But also at the same time, he can play guard and play center. So whichever position that he feels, I'm fine with that. He's willing
Gotcha.
to do it.
Yeah, and he does seem to be a big, violent his best tape, if no one has seen it, probably people have probably heard about it right by now because Brian Baldy, the Baldy Report, is his Texas game. He goes against Murphy and Stewart. I mean, he just locked both of them up. Very, very impressive traits. Big, strong guy. Short arms, but I'm not all into that. Yeah, they talk about all of that stuff to me.
Yeah, he do got the T-Rex on.
Yeah, he got the T-Rex arms, and that's why I'm thinking like so much more better inside. But I think they got a really good player there. Of course, we have to see them play, but I did like the pick. So second, third round pick, where I personally thought they were going to go running back. That's where I thought.
Because they had two, 3rd round picks. I was like,
right. I was like, here you're gonna go. You're gonna
this
fit
is the time to do it.
This is where you fit the running back. You'll get the line. I thought you'll get linebackers in the 5th and the 6th, and then in the 7th you can end up going to get your nose tackle. Not that I hate the pick. Not that I hate the player. I think the player is really nice. But I was a little surprised, and I think you could have got him if they would have traded back. I don't know what that was, but I think he would have fit in the 4th round. But that's not a reflection on the player. I want everybody to know that I'm not downgrading the player. It's just a little surprising. 2 years in a row, this team hasn't addressed the running back position, and they had a great opportunity here to address it.
Yeah, filling in depth at the linebacker position, which we did discuss that last week, that this needs to be filled. Of course, I did mention about Michael Parsons, and we got to make sure that he has longevity here.
Exactly.
And also, Leighton Vander Esch, he's gone. So, I mean, of course, we did mention Sam Williams, and with him and his mental breakdowns and stuff like that, getting sent to play special teams because of that.
Exactly.
You need a guy that's mentally ready, that's not going to commit any stupid penalties on the defense or on special teams also too.
That is very, very correct. I do think he's going to be a special teamers guy. And then also Overshawn, as much as we like his potential, he didn't even play a regular preseason game before he got hurt. So it's a lot of that. Damone Clark, love the player in college. I haven't seen that same player in the pros as of yet. So yeah, they needed to add. I was just surprised they did it in the 3rd round.
I was too, but I think adding him good gets the run and gets the pass.
Exactly.
And of course here come the. Oh, I hate doing this stuff, but he's a Zimmer type of guy, as everybody is saying. I was like, okay, man, let's just.
I don't know if he's a Zimmerman.
We don't even know this yet.
I just think he's a really good player. People said that about the defensive end, and I was just like, he's just a traditional defensive end. I don't know if Zimmerman has a type because he's learned from Parcells with size, but he was also with Jimmy under speed, and in the way he built, the Vikings was a particular way. But some of these players look like McCarthy's players when he was in Green Bay. At least at the peak, they're bigger. Everybody's just bigger and faster. So it's hard for me to say this is a Zimmerman pick. But yeah,
right, because I can't determine that because, like you said, Zimmer was all great with the linebacker position. So for a while, Minnesota, they was tops in takeaways and everything because of the linebacker position.
Yeah.
So we don't even have enough staff at the linebacker position to even say this is a Zimmer type guy yet. But he can put this pick could potentially start. And
I agree.
Just filling the depth is all that matters to me right now. So I'm waiting to see what he does.
Got you. Let's go with the cornerback from Wake Forest, Keelan Carson. I like him. I've seen him. I wanted a corner. I wanted a boundary corner. I don't know if he's going to start, but I do love the pick. I think he's 6 feet tall. I think he's 198. Really good ball skills. Very, very competitive kid. No one has seen his tape. This kid is super competitive. So I really love that pick. I have no problems with it. I think they got excellent value to get him in the 5th round. I thought he was going to go earlier, but really, really outstanding pickup.
I agree. I thought he was going to go earlier also as well. I'm all about getting 6-foot corners because most of the receivers right now are 6 foot and up. Hell, half of the best receivers in the game are over 6'3".
Exactly.
So having a 6-foot corner coming in that can jump great, great ball hawk skills, long arms. Like that's what we need.
Mhm.
And if they can still stick to the game plan of getting takeaways in the secondary position, I think that he will fit in very well. Hopefully, they can at least put him in like nickel corner. I think he will get some playing time.
Mhm.
But if he can show what he showed at Wake Forest, being a great tall corner, I think he will get some playing time this season. So I'm good on
Yeah,
him
and since they're not, we don't know about Gilly and Eric Scott didn't get any playing time last year.
at all. And I'm curious about that. It's like, okay, so are they finally going to get a chance to do that this season? Because Diggs is coming back,
Right.
and like we discussed last week, we don't even know if he's going to be mentally ready,
Yeah, you don't
such
know
as
how he is
because
physically.
the expectations are going to be high for him coming back because you're going to get the narratives of Diggs is coming back. Is Deron Bland the starting corner? Deron Bland set the record for the most pick sixes in NFL history. So of course, all the hype is going to be on him.
True.
Is he the number one corner? Is Diggs Does Diggs have to fight for his number one corner position back? So it's going to be a lot of back and forth here when it comes to stuff like that. But adding another corner here that is also 6 foot, he's young, he's a rookie, and hopefully he knows how to deal with these receivers and this pass happy NFL league. I
Hmm.
think he should fit in well and play some nickel corner and hopefully get to learn from Diggs and get to learn from Bland.
Yeah, he's the. I think that's the case because when you look at the corners we've drafted, when we had Quinn, with the exception of Diggs and
Hmm.
Bland, second round pick, third round pick, moved up to go back into the fifth round. So we used 4 draft picks for 3 players, and their playing time was minimum. They got rid of Calvin Joseph after I thought he kind of carved out a role at least on special teams. Of course, you don't want your second rounder to be a special teams ace, but still he had a role. But you jettison him. Wright doesn't. Nashawn doesn't get really any playing time, and Eric Scott got no burn or no playing time last year. So to
Right.
me, it's like you've used 4 draft picks, 2 very high ones that you usually want a second or third round to be eventual starters, and we have nothing to show for it from there. So I thought your corner was a very, very good idea for that. This was a little surprising, even though I know it's a 6th rounder. Wide receiver Ryan. I mean, I've seen his tape. He's super athletic kid. There's a lot of upside. But once again, I was just a little surprised. I was like, there is a few other running backs left in the 6th round, and they still didn't decide to select one. But that's beside the point. What did you think of Ryan, the 6th round pick? That was a compensation pick. Uh, I've seen his tape, like I said, athletic. His route tree needs some advancement, but once again, a big receiver. He's not super, super big, but he's not a 5'11" guy. I think he's 6'1". If I'm
Hmm.
not mistaken, I think he's 211. Got really, really great athleticism. Another very, very competitive kid. What did you think of that selection?
Well, I think far from the selection was since it was a comp pick.
Mm-hmm.
I hate saying this
Not going.
about anybody, but if he didn't play in the Senior Bowl, I don't think that he would have got picked up.
No, but you're
But
right.
but being 6 foot helps out a whole lot. I mean, he is kind of thin, but like I said, being 6 foot helps out a whole lot. You're gonna need a taller receiver with Michael Gallup being gone. You're gonna need another guy to come in and try to catch some passes because, of course, all the heat is gonna be on CD Lamb. All the heat is gonna be on Jay Ferguson. So like we're still looking for that third guy. Well, because I do consider Jake Ferguson another receiver,
I
the
do
number two
too.
receiver on this team, but it's like they still haven't found a number two wide receiver in like forever. And I don't care what round he's in or gets picked up or even a comp pick. I just want him to have a chance, a young guy to have a chance to prove that he can come in, unknown,
Hmm.
not even expecting a lot and just take over. For example, we had like a LaRon Robinson here, in the Romo days, and he got put into that number 2 wide receiver spot, got paid, went to the Jaguars.
Yeah,
So
I remember that.
nobody even knew who he was
You
to give
know,
a damn about him.
you know what? The last guy who I thought was a really good number 2 was Terrence Williams.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the last guy because not only could he catch passes, I mean, he was a body catcher, but he made plays. He was very quarterback friendly. He could block, and he's the last guy that I can think of because to me, he's actually better than Michael Gallup as far as his overall
I
career.
agree. I agree.
They
Overall career,
haven't,
yes.
yeah, they haven't had nobody kind of like come in and just say, "Hey, I'm a number 2 guy." I'm not necessarily the guy that can be a number 1, but you still have to account for me on the football field. I can still make plays because I remember him making plays for Romo, but I also remember him making plays for Dak Prescott for a little bit. I remember the Seattle game; he made big plays. I remember the Texas game with J.J. Watt. We thought he was going to kill Romo, and that was a big play by Terrence. We haven't had nobody like that since Terrence Williams. Yeah, Gallup had one good year, and kind of after that, really not showed anything. I guess Cedric Wilson, was good.
Cedric
He was,
Wilson.
he was like a number 3 guy.
He was kind of like a number 3 guy, but
but
he was still pretty good
still a
for the
good.
slot
He
receiver
was still
position.
good. He was still a good slot
Yes, he
receiver,
was.
long strider. And it's like since they jettisoned him, they traded Amari, and then they decided to keep the guy that was injured, and we just haven't. We've been in shambles since. And
Yes,
they didn't really give Jalen Tolbert. I understand his first year, but like you said, I think they overwhelmed him in his first year. And last year, I thought he should have just had an increase because of what you were seeing with Michael Gallup. And they did it kind of too much at the end. I thought he should have got a little bit more ratchet up earlier. Because I think I think Cooks is a 3. I don't think.
Yeah, Cook's always been a 3.
He's a 3.
He's always been a 3, and I don't have a problem with that. But like you said, you have to find someone, either a number 2 or number 3 guy, because in a pass-happy league, and you have a lot of teams that will use 3 receivers a lot that don't really have good tight ends like that, or like a security blanket like that at the tight end position. You would think that you will have a second or a third receiver guy ready to roll for you, but they never really like even try to just force that issue with CD. He started getting to his point where he wants more passes, and him and Dak getting into it, and Dak not looking his way. Oh no, all this other this diva stuff these receivers be doing, which that led CD to be probably like 1A or 1B as the best receiver last year. But he got like CD really have to understand, which he always talk about. He loves to win. He only matters and cares about winning. Okay, well, let everybody else eat in the wide receiver depth chart. No matter how much you think you're open, no matter how much you want the football, I totally get it. But if it's a team sport and the team win, you have to realize Dak is going to have to look other directions, because you are going to get double team, you are going to get triple team, which he was getting done like that the last few games of the season. But that's when passes were being forced. We don't have a running game to complement the receiver game, and the offensive line was bad. So you got to make sure that you got weapons out there at the wide receiver depth chart to just spread the ball around and keep this defense guessing. But since if City going to keep on acting like that, then maybe Ryan may not even get an opportunity to even do that. But there was one receiver that I did think that was going to get earlier. It was the receiver from Florida. I forgot his name, but it was like number 1.
You talking about Keon Coleman?
No, I think
he's from Florida. He's from Florida State, isn't he?
No, this is Florida Gator.
Oh, Florida Gator.
Yeah, it's a Florida Gator, and I kind of had him on the board too, but because I'm looking for a number 2 guy, I'm looking for a slot receiver. But hopefully Ryan will get in there, show off his playmaking ability, and just try to get on the field and prove it this preseason that he can get on the field and at least be a number 3 receiver for this Dallas Cowboys wide receiver depth chart.
Do you think they're going to give him a fair chance at the opportunity?
I honestly don't think so. I mean, if they're going to develop Tolbert more, then I highly doubt it. But
Are you talking about? I'm sorry. Are you talking about Ricky Pearshaw?
Yeah,
He went 31 overall. He got picked up by
he got
the dreaded 49ers. Yeah.
Yeah, he went to the 49ers. So that was the kind of guy that I was looking for. But if they're gonna develop Tolbert more, cool. But they need options at the wide receiver position, and hopefully Ryan will get a chance.
Hope so. I mean, Jalen Brooks kind of flashed. Tolbert, little flash, but you're right. They haven't had anybody kind of, it looked like we have a number one in a pack of threes until somebody really emerge. So let's go, which a friend of mine's talked. He said if he was running the draft, he would draft 3 offensive linemen. And they picked up Nathan Thomas. I have no problems with him. I honestly thought this guy's in the 7th round. I think he's an excellent pickup. A friend of mine was asking, he said, why are they drafting so many offensive linemen? I said, did you see the offensive line last year? Like we had some issues. The kid we picked up from Jackson for the Jets, he's a backup. I thought he did as good as I could expect him to do. I said, but when you're looking at that, you're also looking at another player, Terrence Steele, who you do not know how he's going to look. I know everybody says, I'll give him a year, but we know how ACL injuries are. Sometimes people don't recover and they never become themselves. And I said, then you have a lot of problems elsewhere. Who else? Matt Blasko, another guy. His shoulders popping out on both sides. So, yes, I had no problems with this selection. I was a little surprised that they went with 3 offensive linemen, but they clearly want to rebuild the offensive line. And they got a lot of young guys here, which makes me think, I think we've talked about that. I think this is Zach Martin's last year. That's just the feeling that I get that they're going to move on. I'll be surprised if he's back next year. But yeah,
I'd be surprised too. But yeah, this is a good pick.
That's a good pick.
Depth and replacing people. And this is a big dude. Okay.
Yes,
it's a big dude, and he's also has versatility.
Yes, he does.
Because they may move him inside to play guard.
Yes, he does.
The only thing that I have a concern with is, once again, they like getting players with injury history.
True.
That is the only thing that I have a concern about.
True.
Now, if the Cowboys medical staff and everybody can get his injuries under control,
true,
I do have a feeling that he can fit in very well on this offensive line.
Now, how bad is his injuries? I've heard he did have some injury concerns. I didn't really look at his history. How bad is it?
I mean, it's not really bad. It's like a little just like nagging, like injuries and stuff like that. But it's
so
like
he has chronic injuries.
Yeah, he has chronic injuries.
Yeah, that's always a problem for me. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either because it can turn major.
Yeah, because you never know when you never know when chronic turns into something major, and it just never goes away.
Yeah, that's the only thing about it. But other than that, I'm all about depth. And once again, that's another offensive lineman that they have that's versatile. He can play guard and he can play tackle. So I did like the pick because versatility is all I'm about, and depth still.
I agree. I think it's excellent. If everything pans out with these 3, they got TJ Bass next year. He's another depth player. I have no problems with Hoffman as a backup center. A player that I really was big on last year, hopefully he makes a jump this year, is Asim Richards. But the interesting thing, Asim plays the left side. He's a left tackle, left guard. So someone asked me, you said, well, what about he makes a major jump? I said, well, Guyton can play right tackle. So if that's the case, but we don't know yet. I said we got to wait to see how it plays out. Right. You never know. All right, the last one. A lot of people have always been wondering, when we're going to get a big dude in the middle, when are we going to get somebody big? And they did. Justin Rogers is 6 feet. He's 6'5". He's not a dumpy type guy. He is a long guy. 6'5". He's 335 pounds listed. Man. He is a true run stuffer, but he can move. He's athletic. He's not just a fire plug guy. Don't have a lot of pass rush capabilities, but I've seen him be extremely disruptive. What do you think of the selection? I thought it was a really good one because I'm always about getting big guys late. I think he's better than John Ridgeway, which was the last guy that we got late.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, with this one, this isn't really a depth thing. This is kind of like we don't have nobody even remotely that resemble this guy. No disrespect to Mozzie, but there's no one that on this team is a traditional nose tackle. Jonathan Hankins is gone. I think they had Carl Daniels or Carl Davis, but he's a journeyman. No disrespect to him. But they do get this kid. I think he will have an opportunity. Hopefully, he can just do what he did at Auburn, and that's just stop the run.
Indeed, I think this guy can start right away. With how they treated the Mozzie Smith experiment last season,
Mm-hmm.
as far as like, gotta lose weight, gotta do all this, and I feel like they just completely just turned away from him. And so I feel like they was gonna get a defensive tackle at one point.
You just didn't know
So
when.
I just yeah, of course. Yeah, we just didn't know when. But getting Justin Rogers, I feel like for real, he can really start right away. I mean, the only guy I could think about that was good at defensive tackle like that, and I guess a little bit more consistent. Now he wasn't 6'5", but it was Jay Ratliff. That was the last guy I kind of thought about
Yeah,
back
Jay
then.
and Jay Ratliff. I always look at Osa. I know people say, "Well, he's undersized." He is. I said, "Well, Jay wasn't that big either. He was like
Nah, he wasn't.
285." I
Yeah.
said, "But yeah," I said he just knew leverage. He really knew leverage and a very violent player. And I've always looked at Osa. Not saying that Osa's him, but I always thought if you're gonna pattern anybody, if I was the head coach, I was like, you need to pattern yourself behind this guy because y'all got like the same type of body type. We
Yes.
just haven't necessarily seen the same thing. But once again, that was with Parcells, and Parcells had a lot of size around Ratliff as well. So
Yes, I
it
agree.
worked out. Yeah. That now,
I agree because like Radley was like 6 foot. Everybody else around was like 6'2", 6'3", and up. So you couldn't really see Jay like that
exactly.
lining up with get the center like that. But Jay was so quick off the book, like so quick, very swift, can move around those big offensive linemen and get to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Which he had, like you said, he had dudes overshadowing him that can really just help out. But
Exactly.
Big Justin, man, nah, he's 6'5".
He
Like
is a big.
that's a
He's a
big
big dude. Yeah.
that's a big dude. And so his size and his type, you need that for the defensive tackle position. Losing Hankins and losing Gallimore to free agency, and he may be the guy. He
Yeah, he
he
could be. He should get a lot of reps.
yes.
I mean, he should get a lot. He should get a
Oh,
lot
he's
of
going
reps.
to.
Yeah,
He's
he
going
should
to,
get a
man.
lot of reps. If he does what he does at Auburn, which is just to mind that A gap, deal with that, they'll be fine. I know they grow. We'll one day we'll do another show with the undrafted free agents because that's a class within itself. Uh, but yeah, I thought this was I usually give all drafts a C, but I do give them kudos for this. Like the only thing that keeps it from being a really good draft for me is just the running back. Like I just think that's something they could have addressed, but they could have addressed it last year as well. But I
Mhm.
had no problems with it. Somebody did ask me, kind of like what you said. Someone I know said, "Do you think this is a Zimmerman draft?" Which I shook my head. I was like, based off of what? No, I'm like, these are guys I've seen McCarthy go, but I guess people are hinting that they believe that this may be his last year if things don't play out right.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I think this is McCarthy's last year. I think this is Dak last year.
Yep.
And I with Zimmer, like if this was a Zimmer draft, we would have seen maybe two or three more linebackers these draft picks. Because he's real big on the linebacker position. But I yeah, that running back thing is still irritating me. I I would give it a B minus simply because the depth and the versatility that they added at offensive line. That's the only reason why I give it like a B minus. It's not it's damn sure not an A. But yeah, B minus. I love the Justin Rogers pickup. Like I think that is very, very huge to me. But getting linemen here, getting a linebacker in the third round, like adding depth, adding versatility, man. Like that's what I was all about. You didn't add depth at the running back position. Well, you kind of
No,
did, but
they
not through
didn't.
here. But yeah, I give it a B minus.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they did a really good job. Hold on 1 minute. That's not my house. I have a DoorDash order. It's not my house. I have no idea who this is.
Hey, man,
Uh,
it's free food.
uh yeah, somebody's leaving something and it's not where I live. Right. Um, do you ever, I mean, you followed the team longer. Do you ever get the impression, well, I have, where it seems like they're close to doing everything the right way and then they decide not to?
Oh, that's every year.
Yeah, I mean, like last
Every
year,
single year.
yeah, like last year, after how everything went down, most people would have fired the entire coaching staff with that type of result. Like they really got handled. And I know people say, "Oh, that's overreaction." Well, no, this is his fourth year. You would expect a little better because, like, every playoff has been kind of like worse. It's been a worse outcome.
Hmm.
So they didn't do that. But you said something. I think it was either you or Reed. Jerry's not going to spend money. Like he's not going to fire people and spend and like coaches. At least he did. He had to do it with players, but he won't do it with coaches. So this year, you have a chance. You're getting rid of everyone that seems to be old, and then you focus on bringing back a older running back who has been declining. So then people will say, okay, well, you're supposed to be all in. I'm not wanting to go and draft free agency. I'm not a big person like to. I don't think you do that. I think when you impulse spend, that's because you can't draft. But if you were going to get an older running back, why didn't you just sign Derrick Henry? Not to say that I would have did that, but if you were going to get somebody that can at least still play at a higher level, get Derrick Henry. And there's a lot of other younger running backs like Aaron Jones. I think he re-signed with Green Bay for $2 million.
Yep.
Tar was a running back from the Ravens. I think he signed somewhere for 4.5 million. So it's like, I mean, I know why they do this because I'm taking the gloves off. Usually I'm very optimistic. I take everything being optimistic. I don't like to talk about the Jerry Jones machine, but this is clear indication. Just seeing him during the draft session, how he's talking, he's revealing the plans and how they love Jonathan Brooks. It felt to me it was Jonathan Brooks, Ezekiel Elliott. And since we didn't get Jonathan Brooks, and because everyone's in uproar, and I'm quite certain Jerry follows social media, or he has someone follow social media, and he knows the fans, he brings back Zeke, which I don't think helps this football team in any fashion. I first said it's a progress stopper, and a friend of mine said, "Well, who he stopping? What progress is he stopping? Because they didn't get anybody." But I also look at it as like the fan base is kind of weird to me because I remember when Jason Witten came back, and there was an uproar, which I think was rightfully so.
Yes. I didn't like it
But
at all.
I didn't like it at all because I said, well, the tight ends are actually flashing. So roll out. All you're gonna do is just stop their progress. But to me, this is the exact this is the exact same thing. Now, there's a kid named Snoop Connor. I've watched his tape.
Hmm.
He's a big kid. I've seen him rip off 80-yard, 70-yard runs. He's physical. He's downhill. I'm not saying he's Ezekiel Elliott from 2016, but he's better than the Zeke I've seen for the last 3 years. And then you also have Malik Davis. You also have the undrafted guy. Now, I'm not saying any of these guys are hero players, but there's been unhero players that will come in and help you win football games because they got younger legs. All we got to do is look at Kansas City. Like the running backs, they just kind of shuffle in and shuffle out.
Hmm.
Also, look at when New England, they will shuffle guys in. That guy may be around for 2 years and then shuffle guys out because they got young legs. But it felt like he heard the outrage of the fans, and this is kind of like the deception move. Let me show you the gleaming object, and then you will not look at what I'm not doing. And now everyone is just kind of, oh, Zeke is back. And this is not, and when I say this, I hate when people say, oh, you hate. I'm not hating about anything. Football is a young man's game. And once I start to see a player decline, it's time to move on. I'm not related to these guys. So I want to win
Thank
football
you.
games.
Right. We
I
don't know
don't
these.
right.
We don't know these guys personally.
I don't know any of these guys personally. I love Zeke in 2016. If you notice, 2016, I thought they did. I thought that was an era then. I don't think you draft a running back fourth overall. That's insane. That's just dumb positional value. You're not going to get 10 years out of a running back. Yes, I know Emmitt Smith, but he's an outlier.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that at fourth overall. I don't care if it's Adrian Peterson. You just don't do that at fourth overall. And so you're paying him $6 million already. He's dead money. And then you give him an additional $2 million. And then here's another thing. What's the rush? Couldn't you have waited until week 2 like everybody does with age vets? And he don't have to count on your roster and you can put him to the practice squad? What was the rush?
That's how I feel too. Well,
Yeah,
let's go back to Derrick Henry.
Okay, let's go back.
As you didn't even give this man a phone call at all. And he publicly said he would love to play here. He has a house here. So that would already just been a perfect situation for him. And also with him being in his like younger 30s.
Yeah, he's not as the tread on his tires are less so. I think he's not the apex Derrick Henry, but I think that guy is better than the Ezekiel Elliott I've seen for the last 3 years.
Of course. And you have a guy that can run sweeps, run up the middle. He can pass also too. So it's like a lot of stuff that this guy can do, and he understands his longevity and what he has to do on the field, which is what he did at Tennessee.
Exactly.
So you could have got him for a 2-3 year deal. The third year probably went like an option or something. It would have gave him maybe no more than 5-6 mil. I think he probably would have took that. I think if they would have just gave him a phone call, he would have just came here easily. It would have been. Derrick Henry would have been no issues getting this guy and putting him with Dak, taking the slack off of him. Now you get a Derrick Henry and you drafted all these linemen in the draft, younger linemen at that, adding depth, adding versatility. Hey, would have been cool with that, but he didn't go that route.
No, he didn't.
Now you have 4 or 5 running backs on the depth chart. And I feel like since it's such a pass happy league now, and now you don't really have the featured back like that on every football team. So now you have a 2 running back and 3 running back system, which I felt like, okay, well, this season is going to be Malik Davis, Rico Dowd, and Deuce Vaughn. Because maybe they'll, smarten up and think about, okay, let's use the 3 running back system because you have a Deuce Vaughn that, can catch screens, reverses, do trick plays with him, hard to tackle, You have a Rico Dowd who's the bruiser, good for short yardage, good for the goal line. You have Malik Davis, which I feel like he can be the featured back. He's a little bit more quicker than Rico.
Yeah, and he's the best pure
running back that we have. I totally agree.
If you look at a guy that just the ability to run the football, he's the best one.
And very quick as well off his feet too. I noticed that about him too.
Yeah.
So in my mind now, I can't think for them, but in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, here's the 3 running back system that they're going to use coming up with this season. They got them. No. What did they do? Which Jerry loves to do. He loves retreading, and he loves giving people second chances. Like I said, we already seen this with Jason Witten.
Yep.
Bringing Jason Witten back after he played like crap from the Raiders and brought him back and, from TV, brought him back or whatever. So, of course, when it comes to fan favorites, and yes, Jerry do have somebody on social media probably asking people, or probably, man, bring back Zeke. He's crappy in New England. Dude.
I mean, he don't even have to ask because there was so many people like last year. Bring him back.
Bring him back. Bring him back. Bring him back. The running backs game sucks. I'm like, dude, the running back game is trash because our offensive lineman is old as hell. They
Exactly.
can't block nothing. And Dak has to force to throw 50 times a game, which I hate that he has to do this all the time.
Yep.
The only
Push too
time the
much.
Cowboys will win football games consistently if Dak throws the ball under 30 attempts a game and you can run the football at least 20 times a game. That's the only way this team is going to win football games on a consistent basis. You got Dak throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game because he's basically playing catch up to
Yep.
make just to keep the game close as it is. So you can't run the football like you want to.
Nope.
You can't do any of that stuff like that. So now you bring it back, you bring back another retread. It's a return to Zeke. This is Dak and Zeke's, they're like this. So, bringing him back pleases him, makes him happy. And now you you gave him this 1 year, $3 million deal, which I feel like you could have gave this crap to Derrick Henry. But I totally agree with you. You could have brought Zeke back like week 2. Like
Yeah, I
week 2,
know. Right.
you didn't have to rush. You didn't have to rush this situation.
Oh, not at
Like,
all. You're not even allowing. You're not even allowing to see the young guys you have and see what they can do, or whether
at
there's
all.
any form of growth at all. It's
At
just
all.
like
Like
as
you
much as,
already stunted the growth of Deuce Vaughn already, and
and now
now
you're
you
going, and now
bringing
you're stunting it again because
exactly.
he's not gonna get a lot of carries. You've already declared Zeke the starter because everyone said it. And I hate to say it, Will McClay said it in an interview too. He said, yeah, starter capability. I was like, I don't know what you guys are looking at.
Because he's been here already. Of course, he has starter capabilities because he been here and did that crap.
Exactly.
So now, oh goodness, and I'm already done with Jerry Jones because he talks every damn day.
Yep.
But just by him saying Zeke deserves this,
There's nothing about
I
deserve.
was done. I was like,
Yeah, it
we're
reminds
done.
me of that movie Unforgiven when Clint Eastwood characters
Yeah,
when your money is staring down and Gene Hackman's character is like, I don't deserve this. He said, deserves have nothing to do with this. He doesn't deserve anything. He had his opportunity. He was a great player for us I don't think for a long period of time, but a short period of time. His time is gone. There have been greater players that we have jettisoned and moved on from. But for whatever reason, Jerry has decided. I mean, if this was going to be the case, if they were going to do this, hell, why don't you just keep Tony Pollard? I mean, if you was going to do this, I mean,
yeah.
I know people talking, but I was, oh, he's not a real true running back. Bro, he can barely get out of the backfield
Barely got out
before
the backfield.
guys are on him. It's
And
hard to even get what's going on. But when people can block, we've seen things that he can do. It's not our fault that they don't use all of his skill set. But this, I just people are posting these highlights, and I'm just like, did you guys like actually watch the games in New England?
of course they have. If y'all gonna post highlights, why didn't y'all post highlights when he was in New England? When he wasn't starting, by the way. The
Exactly.
only reason why he started because the starting running back got hurt, and he started the last few games of the season. This was
Yeah.
his worst season of his career. He
He
didn't start
averaged
New
like
England at
30.
all.
He averaged like 39 yards per game,
Yeah,
3.5 average. His burst is not there.
nah, man.
Just isn't it. Like I
Yeah,
said, I would have been fine. I had held out hope and thought they're gonna wait, they're gonna draft it, they're gonna get a running back, and they're gonna bring him back in week 2, like they did Brandon Carr, and stick him on the practice squad. And I was like,
yeah.
I'll be okay with that. It's not like anybody wants him, but no, they signed. They signed him before they signed a draft pick.
Yeah, man. And I was like, man, and I'm going through the draft, John. I promise you. After that third round happened, I was like, they're gonna do it.
You're right.
Gonna freaking do it.
Once they did that, I held out one hope. Somebody said, "Well, if they want to get one, what would they need to do?" I said, "Well, the only way they can, like, if they're going to do anything, I said they would have to give probably a third round for next year to get back into the 4th. If I see them do that, then I mean there's targeting." Now I know what Steven said. He said, "You don't reach, you play your board." I have no problems with that, but nobody can convince me that Trey Benson on this football team would not have been an immediate upgrade. like a major. He'd have been the best running back we had since Ezekiel Elliott. And I agree. It would help Dak Prescott out so much to have someone like that to take off all of the pressure for him. I don't know what's you know what? This is so bad. And I was against Jonathan Brooks. I'd have been fine with them drafting Jonathan Brooks. Even though he was hurt, and I know he's not going to play a full season. I would have been okay if they had drafted Jonathan Brooks as opposed to this. But I do believe what you're saying. I believe this is the end of the line for not just, I think, Dak, I think DeMarcus Lawrence, I think Zach Martin, and unless McCarthy wins a Super Bowl, I think this is it.
Oh, this is it. Yeah. This is it, fam. The only thing that Zeke is going to be doing consistently is picking up the blitz to block for Dak Prescott. Please use these other running backs.
You know what? If the only way I would ever been okay with this if Bill Parcells was here, because Parcells has a history of using aged players, but he'll use them for certain times of the year.
Yes.
He wouldn't get an old dude to say, "Okay, you're a starter." He'd get an old dude like, "I have a role for you later." He would have used those. He would have got Zeke and been like, "I have a role for you." But in Dallas, nah, it doesn't work that way.
If this was Parcells, man, Parcells wouldn't agree to getting Zeke after the draft like that.
Nope,
that was no way.
He would have
no way.
He would have addressed running back last year, and he would have probably more than likely addressed it this year. He would have had linebackers, because you know a Bill draft when you see it. He gets big linebackers. He also was one of the very few people. He warned everybody about Marion Barber. He said he's not a starter. He told people this. He said he is not a guy that I want carrying the ball 20 plus times. They jettisoned Bill, ran him off, and what did they do? They signed Marion Barber to the extension, gave him 20 plus carries. He was done after 1 year.
1 year, he was done after that, man. That's the thing with Jerry and Steven, man. Like, they don't want no coach to have a say so.
Nope.
I don't like the yes men mentality that these head coaches have when it comes to the ownership and the GM of this football team. Like, you gotta let your coach. You gotta let him do what he needs to do on the sideline. And if it doesn't go that way, like you said, this is McCarthy's 4th year. And it's not really going the way it's supposed to be going as planned.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
This is it for all them cats.
Yeah, this is it.
So for him to say all in, this is the reason why. He's going all in to show with these last few cast of characters that's here, and even bringing a character back to the show.
Yep.
He's gonna show y'all.
This is like a reunion for like some age rock band that's in this.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, bring the old band back together, man, to see if we can get this done one more again. This is it.
Yeah, and there are people when I hear and say, "Well, he can lead the way."
To what?
Right, because here's the thing: teams don't get older running backs to teach younger running backs. That's a position that those running backs have been doing for so long. They don't need mentorship. That isn't a quarterback position. That isn't a position that's more cerebral. Not to say it isn't smart, but running back is a plug and play position. Guys come in and they pick up and because the first thing to say to them is like, did y'all have an old running back when y'all had Ezekiel Elliott? No, you didn't. Did y'all have an old running back when y'all had DeMarco Murray? No, you didn't.
Nope.
Yeah, and it just
they ain't even had that many running backs on the depth chart like that.
Nope.
It was one dude. It was one dude. That was it. I remember they even.
I can't remember who. Yeah, I can't remember who. Was it the undersized running back that we had, but he kept getting hurt? Was he on the depth chart when they had Julius Randle? I forgot the player's name. He was always hurt. It always seemed like we was going to get something from him. And then
you talking about Julio Jones?
No, not Julio Jones. It was
no. I'm saying was it Randall his backup?
No, Julio Jones was paired with Marion Barber.
Yeah, he sure was.
Julio was the starter. I'm trying to think. Lance Dunbar.
Lance Dunbar, yeah.
That's who I was thinking. I think
We had Lance Dunbar. We had Philip Tanner.
Yeah.
He was
Tanner
also
could run.
backup
Yeah.
too.
Tanner was a really natural running back, but he just didn't block it. Parcells used to talk about that all the time. He's like, he loves to run, but everything else he doesn't really.
He doesn't do. Yeah, I'm like Parcells used to go in on them pressers, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Them presses after them practices. Oh, Parcells was gold. He was gold. He never disappointed. He never disappointed you.
And that's the thing too. I agree. Since Bill is not here, at one point I was really behind McCarthy. I still think he's a good coach, but I think he was more happy to get the job. I know he's saying he's here to win Super Bowls and all, but that last playoff game, he looked like a beat man to me.
Yeah,
he didn't look like a guy more upset at what happened. He looked like he was just spent. And Jane Slater asked, which I think she had a very respectful question, why should we buy in? Why should the fans buy in? Because that's what he said. Y'all should buy in. It's like after that and the seeing what you saw. Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong. Did Jason ever feel a team that bad? I think Jason Garrett was a mediocre head coach, but I don't remember ever getting whipped that bad. Like
Garrett didn't get beat bad like that because he at least had still a good offensive mind. But seeing how his demeanor on the field and him clapping every 10, 15 seconds, you couldn't even really tell.
Right.
But I think with McCarthy, I think that, it sounds good being the coach here of the history, but it's past history. Okay.
Yeah.
Your Super Bowl was in the past. Now, but you never dealt with a front office like this. So I feel like you said, he felt good getting the job, but I think once through the seasons, I feel like he bit off more than he can chew, and I think he felt that last season that he bit off more than he can chew when it came to this football team and when it comes to this front office. Now, not only that, looking at the draft and the draft picks, just seeing how this draft goes along. Same thing. I really don't even think he had to say so in that war room like that. Maybe, but just seeing how this draft went along and these last few seasons going through this football team with these first round exits. I mean, it feels good when in the division, cool. But this division is so tough. Nobody wins it 2 in a row.
No, they don't.
So you got to start looking at, like Parcells, I always say, just get to the tournament.
Yep.
Just get to the tournament. We'll pan it out from there. Get your roster based on getting to the tournament. Get your roster ready. Also, get vets ready and signed for this tournament and make a tournament run.
Yeah, we haven't.
You're getting pieces, but you're not getting personnel or coaches for the win now mentality. You're already not spending money, which we seen the Rams win the Super Bowl by spending money like that, and they got it done. So that strategy is you can't. I don't think you're even going to get to that point anymore. With Steven really taking over Jerry like that, because you're not even spending money anymore right now. Now you're trying to gamble in and trying to do this through the draft. Now,
the thing is, I don't understand I thought I knew the plan, but then I just don't know what the plan is. Their salary cap is a mess. They don't seem to have
$53 million in dead money is afoot. Because
and they're not built. They're not built like Green Bay is.
Nah, man.
This is like, okay, so you trade for the quarterback last year. And so I'm thinking like, okay, Prescott's not playing well. Next year, you're just going to basically tell him we're starting Trey Lance. Therefore, that will force him to activate the trade clause.
Nope.
But you don't do that. So you have three quarterbacks on your roster who are all free agents.
Mm-hmm.
You have a young one who may or may not be promising, but you just don't know. You have a goof for edge rusher, and you have a prima donna wide receiver, and you have to pay them. That's why I told somebody, I said, based off of the last game you saw, would you be willing to pay that wide receiver $35 million? Would you be willing to pay the edge rusher that amount of money? I mean, going into what you saw, I mean, even if you lost, I get the loss, but both of them barely made a ripple.
Mm-hmm.
Like
They
you would,
did.
yeah, you at least. And this is no disrespect to Michael Parsons. I think he's an outstanding player. But I've yet to see him have a game like DeMarcus Lawrence did that time where we really didn't have a great defense and we went up to New Orleans and beat them. And he was coming off that neck injury.
Yeah.
I know that wasn't a playoff game, but that was a neck injury the next time, and he wrecked that whole game by himself.
Yes.
And I just haven't seen that with any of the players. And I know people say, oh, he gets triple team, he does that. Okay, I get it.
Totally get it.
But
I totally get that.
right. But I mean, didn't Von Miller get that? And DeMarcus, I mean, Ware didn't even have nobody like Lawrence on the other side during this time.
Man.
He had Anthony Spencer. But yeah, we just haven't had any type. I have no idea what they're doing.
I don't either. And at this point, I'm not even going to invest in it like that. With the Michael Parsons situation, you have to pay him. With the CD Lamb situation, you have to pay him, and they're going to pay them. But with Michael Parsons, yes, getting double team, triple team, but I feel like he was gassed.
Yeah, I agree.
He was gassed from moving around the football field, moving to the defensive line, moving to the line back in the middle of the field with the linebackers. When it comes down to it and it's time to really show up and play, you're gassed. So yes, them double team and triple teams do kind of stand down. Then I have started noticing him taking plays off, which I don't mind that at all. Because
you get beat up.
You need him.
He doesn't have a running mate. When they made him an edge at first,
they made him an edge at first. Then they
made
him playing in the middle.
Right, I got that part. I was like, okay, they're just
then they put him on the defensive line, moving him around. I was like, oh man, here we go.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, when it comes down towards the end of the season, man, he's gonna be so gassed. He ain't gonna really just be effective like we really need him to. Of course, he'll get his third quarter sack, fourth quarter sack, but I feel like okay, he's getting that, and that's it. Like everybody else, of course, need to step up and do something.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're constantly on the radar and you got that star on your helmet, every play matters to every single fan, and they're going to complain. He ain't do this. Where's Michael Parsons at? Blah, blah, blah. It's a team sport, dude. Like, everybody has to do something. He's not the only guy that's out there. So, picking up another linebacker in the draft, cool. I'm glad. But Parsons and Lamb, they want to get paid. They're going to get paid. And this season right here needs to show them. Like, if Jerry's going to hold out through the whole season, with CD, I highly doubt he does that with him.
Nah, because here's the thing. He's never did it with anybody.
Yeah, because Jerry may just raise the bar. He's either going to raise the bar with CD or with Michael Parsons and making them the highest paid receiver or the highest paid linebacker. You can't do that with both. He's going to have to do that with one. So we're going to see how this is going to pan out and see how long it's going to take to pay both of them. But they're going to get paid. Trust me. It's going to happen.
I agree. I mean, if I was the GM, people can hate what I'm about to say. I would have traded the receiver before the draft. I'd have traded the receiver. Because I'm agreeing with what you're saying. Paying both of them, you're going to get stuck. Because here's another thing that happens with that. You have a third player. Not now. I think he's in his third year next year. But Tyler Smith is going to command a lot of money. And so then you have that situation. If you jettison Lamb, you will get picks back. I think you'll get 2 first-round picks. But this draft, you could have just replaced him. Now, I'm not saying you use both first-rounders on receivers, but you could have used the first and the third.
Man, by the way, how how Diggs got to Houston, you could have just did that and not even give up any first rounders.
True.
So that could have been a scenario.
Yeah, you could have did that.
You
It's
could have
just
did something like that.
it just seems like we play chess. I mean, we play checkers. Everybody else is playing
Yeah.
chess.
Damn sure ain't chess. We both
Yeah,
know.
don't ever play chess. Never. It just never seems to be. It's always reactionary. So like when we have a problem, they'll wait the year after to solve it, as opposed to you seeing it what's occurring right now. Like it's like the Trey Lance thing. It's like, okay, in theory it sounded good, but it doesn't match up because he doesn't have a contract longer than Prescott, and you're not willing to say, okay, we're just gonna go in and make that decision and just live with it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's gonna work, but you can say, okay, he's more athletic. Mike did do great things with Cooper Rush. This kid is much more talented than Cooper. He's actually, just from a physical standpoint, as far as talent, he's more talented than any quarterback. Doesn't mean he's better. I think Prescott's the better quarterback, but there could be things you can run with Trey that you can't run with Dak. Or you could just get young around Dak. Like get very young around him and help him, because we've always seen, I agree with you, bro. When you asking this dude to throw the ball 45 times, man, that's just too much. Greater quarterbacks than him will succumb to that type of pressure.
Yeah.
Because that's just too much. That's just too much weight that you're putting on him with no running game or no strong defense to be able to say, you know what, we're going to get you inside the 10 because we're going to get the ball turned over. We're not going to get run on. We're going to make things easier. We're going to turn the ball over. We're going to get things going your way. And so, the state of this team, I have no idea.
I don't either. And just seeing in a lot of games where, like, this has been the best the defense has been these last 3-4 seasons with Dan Quinn under the defensive coordinator position. So it's always been situations where the offense was putting up points, but the defense couldn't stop anybody.
True.
So now these last 3-4 seasons, we have a defense that led the league in takeaways.
3 years in a row. Yeah.
3 years in a row. But the offense could never get going for some reason.
It can never take advantage of anything.
You can never take advantage of anything that's given to you. Like, you finally got that defense to stop people, but your offense is like so slow and lackluster.
It lacks explosion.
It lacks explosiveness. Like the plays are manila. Everything is predictable. Like, you couldn't even get your offense to complement your defense these last 3 seasons because y'all start out slow, and then you put more weight on the defense to get another takeaway or to get another third down stop. But when you get on offense, y'all just a basic 3 and out and give it right back to the defense. And when that happens, like, it's time for a complete overhaul. Now, with Dan Quinn leaving, I mean, you can't lose no playoff game like that. You really can't.
Not at all.
And of course he goes to an NFC East rival and takes our center away. You know what I'm saying? Linebackers away. Everybody went over there with him. So yeah, I would have followed suit too.
Exactly.
But now you got to rebuild this defense. You got to trust Mike Zimmer, and now you got to trust these young offensive linemen to really pick up a lot of slack from losing veteran offensive linemen. You're going to lose another one in Zach Martin. And now you got this quarterback where he's already on paper thin ice already as it is. So this season is going to be very, very interesting to me. Wild card team. They're not going to win the division this year. I give them the wild card.
I can see that unless there are players who play above. But I don't think that's going to be the case because I just think the culture is bad. And a lot of people think that's just when I just talk about team. Culture is organization. They have a sense of entitlement. I don't see anybody on the team that seems like they're going to elevate everybody else above. Like follow me, I'm going to lead us. At one point, I thought Micah. I don't think he's a bad guy, but I do think the star and what comes from it and all the doors that open, I just don't see it. The guy who is focused, it looks like Prescott's doing the right thing. I'm going to decompress. I'm going to But unfortunately, Dak Prescott is not like somebody like Peyton Manning or someone I think can just elevate everybody above their talent. He does need help. All quarterbacks need help because I know people are going to say that. But some quarterbacks can take an average guy or they'll go rogue and they'll make their coach look better because of that. But they also haven't helped him. I don't understand how you see what he is in 2016 and just don't follow the same blueprint by upgrading the defense and he can do more. You just kind of decide to give him less. And Jerry's already feeding everybody. He takes all the money, so we can't get anybody. And it's like, you're the one that created the salary cap. And don't give me that you can't get anybody. You can get people. You're the one deciding to waste money on old veteran players. It's just crazy. Yeah. I know what all in is. I don't know, getting Bobby Wagner. That's all in. Get Derrick Henry. That's all in. And you can basically tell them this is a 1-year thing. We're going to try to get it.
But I want to name another all in. You could have got Diggs' brother.
Absolutely.
Now, if you would have did those three,
if you'd have did that and added him, and then the thing is, when you add Bobby, he's one.
Man.
So the thing is, if you're going to add somebody to lead, you really usually get.
That's the guy right there to do it.
You get guys who won Super Bowls, who lost. They know everything because they're the guys who will tell them we can't lose a game against a subpar Green Bay team. We can't lose at this particular moment. Things ain't going right, guys. So it's those type of guys. And I agree with you. Diggs, that would have been an ideal thing. He's here with his brother. That would have been a great thing. He's a proven dude. And then you got 2 number ones. And he'll open up everything else for everybody else. So who are you going to double? You can't double both of them. And if you do double both of them, I have Ferg in the middle.
Yep.
And then when you do that, Jalen Tolbert could play a much more easier role. And you can ask him to do much more easier things. And he can be highly productive for you.
Indeed.
Yeah, but I agree. Wild card. But what's going to be interesting to me, it may not happen because of Zim, because he's new. I do wonder if the team's going to quit. Because you see that. At least I saw it. That the offseason when DeMarcus Lawrence said we're tired. Maybe you were, but everybody's tired. That right there.
You know, they get on these, they got these podcasts, they get on these podcasts and then express themselves, which I have no problem with that. The only problem I got is y'all doing podcasts every week. Every single week, man, and you just complaining about stuff and talking about stuff. Maybe I'm just old school with it, with stuff like that, but it's like now you're talking as much as your owner and GM. At these situations like this,
because he's created the culture, like you said.
Yeah, I don't need to be hearing from y'all. This is the owner and GM that had like players creating their own shirts. Remember Jalen Smith had his own shades and his own glasses.
And remember when they gave him an extension, they also did a press conference to announce his new line. And I was like, what? I was like, who does that? I was like, who does that?
The Dallas Cowboys do.
Yeah.
You don't see no other team doing stuff like this. Having players got their own shirt line and advertising their shirt line. Or, when Jerry Jones had the Zeke Who shirts made, and like you're basically pimping and, do your own running back, your own players like that. And like, so you mean tell me that's more important than winning on the football field, man? To make sure that they sell these clothes and sell these glasses.
Yeah, and the thing what gets me is, unless I'm mistaken, and I've watched all sports, you do too. I'm a sidebar to another team that really didn't do a lot for a long time. And it was the Golden State Warriors. Like they were like non-existent. They barely was on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly they win. They're on national TV all the time. Let's go football. Kansas City was dormant. Never did anything. They get primetime spots. The players make a lot of money. The quarterback makes a lot of money. As far as I remember, winning always
cures all.
It will cure all. Yeah, it rules everything. You'll get endorsement deals. You'll get everything. Your brand will be seen. But the Cowboys have become, I'm in Chicago, they become the Chicago Cubs. They're just popular regardless, whether they win or not. And Jerry is like that. That's why I tell people all the time, stop listening to what he says. Because it doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter if you guys complain or don't complain. If you show up, watch the game, it doesn't matter. As long as the stadium's sold out, that's all that matters to him.
Exactly. As long as y'all going to these games, it's all that matters, man. Like when you go to that stadium, you're going to see a lot of times where the away team will overshadow the Cowboys fans there because it's a major attraction.
Yep.
When like people travel very well when they want to go to Jerry World and watch football games.
Yep.
Very well and deservingly so. So it will be a lot of games where you think it's mostly Cowboy fans there because of how they show it on TV. No, sir.
Nah. I had a friend in there for San Francisco. He said the stadium, they rule the stadium.
It was all red. Yes, sir.
Yep. That's
when
all
I went to the playoff game when they played Detroit, all dark blue.
That's crazy.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like, of course, like it's Cowboy fans there, of course.
Right.
Of course. When I went to the preseason game, when the preseason game when they played the Raiders, bro, it was Raider Nation all around that damn stadium.
And it's crazy because this team has so massive amount of resources. For them to be in the position they're in is crazy. Jerry thinks he's Al Davis, and he's not. He's just not a football man.
Oh,
he's a great businessman, but he's not a football man.
And that's the thing that they will not separate him from that, man. Like hire a GM.
Yeah, he'll never
hire a GM, of course. But of course, we always have these suggestions every season, every year. Hire a GM, man.
Hire a real
GM.
Hire a real GM.
Let that GM cook, or let your head coach be a GM.
Because
a lot of teams let head coaches run things like that.
Yeah, because I remember his famous the line he told Bill Parcells. He said, "You won't have final say of personnel." He said, "But I'll give you anything you want. You just have to ask me." I said that's one of the asinine statements. Somebody said, "Why?" I said because that's him wanting to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can get anything I want, just why don't you just give me the authority?
Yeah,
that's like a P.
Just say yes.
Yeah, just let me know whatever it is. I'll give it to you. So I have to sit here and talk to you for 20, 30 minutes to get what I want. And honestly, you don't know what I want because you're not a football man.
Not at all.
Yeah, just sit back and let the people who run the football. I hate to say this. I don't think they're ever going to win another Super Bowl with him in charge.
They're not.
Yeah, I don't.
I already determined that. And even the only thing good that happened this season was Jimmy Johnson going to the Ring of Honor. That's the only thing that. And then get this. Jerry, quote unquote, made Jimmy Johnson a special advisor for the Dallas Cowboys. So of course I'm thinking like, okay, well, is he going to be in the war room? Is he going to like make decisions on who needs to be getting in free agency? Like, what is this advisor crap? So you just gave this dude an occupation just to make everybody feel good. Oh man, Jimmy Johnson's going to be involved in the free agency. He's going to be involved in the draft as an advisor. I'm like, man, please.
Jerry I saw all of that. I saw all of that.
I was like, man,
Jimmy's back in the building. I was like, yeah. Okay.
Nah, man, Jimmy ain't finna deal with that dude.
Nah.
He's not gonna deal with that dude at all.
Yeah, he's too difficult to deal with. I know people will say it's on the players. I get that part, but there's always times every time you think this team is about to move forward, they move backwards. It's like last year at the beginning of the offseason when he said, well, Dan Quinn can be the head coach. Who does that? When you have a head coach, who says that? So right there, that becomes a story. So you got to deal with that as a head coach. Dan Quinn has to deal with that. You keep Kellen around way too long. He's not qualified for it. You're hiring coordinators before you hire your head coach. And then you make personnel decisions that no one would make. that's just completely baffling. And then you don't want to admit that you're wrong. Heck, they was doing this. I was like, well, if that's the case, why did you ever bring Dez Bryant back?
Might as well. Nah, I don't. I don't think Dez did want to just deal with Jerry like that, and I think it was too much that was going on while Dez was here, and him dealing with Jason Witten, him dealing with Jason Garrett, dealing with Romo, dealing with Jerry, like how Dez had explained, like it's Jerry's guys that's there, like the gatekeepers. Like, it's a lot of stuff that goes on, and I think Dez dealt with so much through that time, that situation, man. He was like, nah, man, I'm good. That's why, he said he loved Jerry, but playing for this football team, I think it was just the coaching and the personnel that Dez was like fed up with. And
Yeah, I agree. I can understand that. Like, I think Jason just let Jerry do whatever he wanted. Based on at least how I look at it. Two coaches who have been here to me only had absolute authority. Parcells and Jimmy. Jimmy was just lucky because Jerry was repaying the loan that he owed.
yeah,
Parcells is just, you know how Bill is. It's my way or no way.
Bill ain't
And that didn't last that long because by year 3, no disrespect to the great Terrell Owens, he signed T.O. That's something that Bill would have never did. He never would have signed Owens.
Bill didn't want it. I mean, yeah, no disrespect to T.O. either,
Yeah,
but
great
T.O. got here and he was spectacular, but
yeah, great player, but that isn't what
Bill
the
didn't
coach
want it. That
wants.
wasn't what Bill wanted. Yeah, and that's
You
the
have to
thing.
do what you have to do what the coach wants. And the thing what gets me, he's won Super Bowls. We haven't. It's the same thing with McCarthy. I'm like, he has won Super, but the first year I didn't have a problem because I was like, we just wasn't that good. The second year I was like, oh, okay, we trending in the right direction. And then the third year I'm like, okay, we won another 12. And then this past year I was like, oh my God, it's like we look worse. It's like it is just like I don't understand how we're not trending in the right way. And then I just look at it and say, okay, yeah, we re-signed a bunch of safeties that Dan Quinn, like Quinn ain't even here. You don't want to move on from anyone, and you just keep players around for too long. And it would be interesting if I could just be a fly to listen to what goes on in the war room, just to figure out how they come up with this. But I forgot they do it as a board of directors. Everyone has a voice, a vote. That isn't the way you do it. It's supposed to be one person that talks for all football matters. Yep. That one person, not a boardroom. You don't run it that way. And so that's the reason the way it is. I agree with you. I just do not see they should be okay, but I just think it's just too much pressure. It's just too much of a story. The 1 year thing is going to be talked about by the media all year. To me, it's going to be talked about. It's going to be talked about with the coach. It's going to be talked about with the staff. It's going to be talked about with the quarterback. And there's another coach that's out there. I don't know if he's going to be on TV or not, but I think they're going to talk about Bill Belichick all year. Anytime there's a trip up, not to say that he will come to Dallas. I don't believe he will, but I do believe that's going to be a person's name that's going to be thrown out. Sean Payton is gone. He was never coming here.
Oh, Harbaugh, no, I never believed that either.
Yeah, I told people, I was like, that's not happening. He was like, why? I said, because he was here. Like, you don't think he knew how things are ran? He's not coming here. Jim Harbaugh was the guy that I wanted, but I was like, Jerry's not going to deal with that because Harbaugh wants to be the first, the second, and the last person to talk. And Jerry is never going to do that. Mm-hmm. McCarthy is a really great head coach, but I think I agree. I think that he's just kind of, like you said, I don't think he knew it was like this. Like the whole thing. Just Jerry with press conferences. Just stuff. It's like he'll say one thing and McCarthy would have an idea and a plan probably. And then Jerry would tell everybody on Friday. Yeah. And I know that has to just kill him as a coach. He has to just sit. It's like, what the hell is this dude doing?
You don't need to be sitting with the head coach in these press conferences, bro. You don't need to be there.
And
McCarthy is the only guy that needs to be there.
That's the only guy that needs to be there. In the draft, I'm seeing Jerry, Steven, Will, and McCarthy. And every time they talk to somebody else than Jerry, I can see Jerry just tapping his fingers because he wants to talk. It is just that is so exhausting as a coach.
I couldn't do it.
Nah. At first, it seemed like Jason Garrett was a guy that could deal with it. Remember when he said Sean Lee would come back, but we didn't. Van Der Esch still stayed. He said Tony Romo was coming back, but Dak still stayed. But once Jason, and I'm gonna be honest, you know this probably better than me. It seems like every third year, Jerry has to do something. He did it with Jimmy. He did it with Bill. He did it with Wade. He did it with Jason. He did it with. It's like that third year of the. It's like he just has to get involved or do something, and either makes a bad sign, a trade, or do anything. And the trade was Trey Lance. It was just like who makes a trade and you don't even talk to no one, and you give up a fourth rounder. They probably was like, you know what, we could have got him for a 6.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, but you're right though. Every third year he got to do something.
He has to do something. He has to get involved. It is crazy. Any other thoughts you have about what's going on? I know you said wild card, maybe,
but yeah, I think like we really hit it on the head of the all-in definition. I think we both came to that conclusion of, yeah, this is it for Dak. This is it for McCarthy. This is it for DeMarcus Lawrence. This is it for Zach Martin. You brought Zeke back to get the band back together to see they can get it done for one more year. And I really think this is it. I really think this is it.
I do.
This is it for them. They're gonna make it to the wild card, get another playoff early exit, and then all of those players are gonna be gone. Michael Parsons will be the only person that left.
You think CD is still here?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think
like I said, whoever they pay first, however their money is gonna look like, I think the other guy may be gone. I mean, of course, this is a bold prediction.
No, I do. But you've been good with predictions. I personally don't think they have the guts
to let both of them go.
I don't think they have the guts to even let one of them go. They never do it.
I can see that too because they need the marketing.
Yeah, and because
they need the names. They need them. Yeah,
because the wide receiver is 88, which is crazy within itself. Who does that? If he's a great player, he could turn 6 into a number, but he gave him 88. I don't see him moving on. But I do agree. I think this is McCarthy's last year, and I think this is Prescott's last year. I think the only way it isn't if they win the Super Bowl. And this team has given me no evidence of that. I think they're too mentally fragile. And I think the owner has not reinforced any belief. What Pittsburgh did with Mike Tomlin is how you do it if you figure this is your guy. If that's your guy. Whether I think you should have kept him or not, you either do this. He's my guy, gave him an extension. So we're not going to have this story every week about whether he's coming back. So that's done. That tells the whole staff we're good.
And they want that. What do we hear on all of these shows every day? It's gonna be something about the Dallas Cowboys all the damn time.
Yep.
Will the head coach be fired during the season?
Yep.
What they're gonna do with Dak in his contract extension? What they're gonna do with CD Lamb? What they're gonna do with Michael Parsons? See, that's the thing when it comes to this football team, and when it comes to the Joneses, like the suspense will keep these sports shows and these sports channels talking about them every single day. Like every single day, more than any football team ever in NFL history. Jerry Jones can sneeze right now. The Jerry Jones violent sneeze determines if Mike McCarthy will make it through half for the regular season before.
You're right, because he pretty much told everybody when he wanted to draft Johnny Manziel. He never talked about anything that dealt with football. He never said, well, he's an outstanding player for the West Coast. He said he will keep us relevant. When he said that, I said, this dude don't care about winning. He cares about being relevant.
He's a seller. He's a marketing genius, man. That's what he is. He knows Johnny Manziel will keep them tickets coming, popularity coming, ratings. That's all Jerry cares about, man. And it's always going to be like that. So this season, yeah, they're all in. They're all in all right. Not the way that we thought that they're
No,
gonna
not the way.
just
And
go
I thought, and
crazy and
honestly,
crazy, but
I thought last year before the offseason, when we went down to San Fran, I think they beat us by 3. And you had Anthony Barr, the way they played. I thought it was going to be a changing of the guard. And I thought last year, because Van Der Esch's chronic neck injury, you bring in a Bobby Wagner.
yeah,
You upgrade where Hankins were. You add and you try to go for this. And they went backwards. And I just think this, even though I did think they did have a good draft, I agree. I don't buy it. If they prove me wrong, I'll be the first one to say, "Hey, I was wrong."
yeah.
But
Same here.
yeah, but
But you see, look on my face.
exactly, that's the
That's the
same
look.
way
That's
it
the look
is.
on my face. I'm gonna have during the season and when and when season is over.
Yeah, if someone comes along and it's a play, I just don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. I think Will put forth a good board and all of that, but I just don't buy it. And something tells me this is just, I think they're gonna whack McCarthy and they're gonna make Zimmer the head coach.
Yep.
Even though I think Al should be the successor. I don't think he's ready now, but I think he can be ready 3 years from now.
I am glad he's still here.
Yeah, I think he's an
I'm
outstanding
glad he's still
football
here.
coach. I think he has a bright future. Yeah. But you know what? Jerry surprises me with a lot of stuff. He kept Jason not too long. He hired Dave Campos, which I have no idea why he even thought of hiring him as a head coach. So it's hard for me to say what he's going to do. But I do agree. I do think this is McCarthy's last year. And I have a feeling they probably will eat Dak Prescott's contract.
Indeed.
It tells me that they will have no problems because the one thing is when they want to extend someone, they normally do it. And I think they're gonna ride this out. If they win a Super Bowl, maybe. But I just don't think this team is built like that. There's nothing that gives me belief. But a lot of fans are gonna believe. Hey, that's what
Well,
fans do.
well, they could. I mean, good luck for them. I mean, I'm gonna stay content about this football team for the rest of my life. I mean, the way I feel right now, my whole demeanor, my body language, every time I talk about this football team, is gonna continue. It's gonna continue
Yeah,
that.
I've joined you because at one point I didn't have I didn't think they would win a Super Bowl, but I was hoodwinked. I thought 2 years ago, I said, "Oh, they look like they had it," and then last year I was like, "Oh my lord!"
Last season was maybe me giving them a direction of maybe a halfway thumbs up because I felt like how the team was built on both sides of the football. I think this may be a chance for them to do it. But the way the offense was lagging these last few games of the season, I was
And,
done.
and then the thing is, not having the guts to just bench Gallup so much more earlier. Not having it's never seemed like there's never a time where it's just like, okay, this is not working, and we have younger options. I go back to Bill because he's the last with Drew Brees. No, Bledsoe. It was just like, okay, this is not working, and he benched him. He put Romo in. Romo threw 2 interceptions, but he
Yeah.
never turned.
Yeah, he never. He never. Nah, he actually do. His first pass was an interception.
Right.
By
I
the way.
remember. Yeah. Did he throw 3? Did he throw
Yeah,
3
he
in that
did. It
game?
was three. He three
Oh, okay.
touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Yep.
But he stuck with him though.
And he stuck with him,
And he
and
stuck with him.
you saw the direction. Every time Bill would talk, when he brought Colombo in, he talked about the reason why. The reason why he kept Flozo Adams, what he did with Andre Garrard. You saw what was going on. And he built a Bill Parcells team. And 1 year later, after he left, they destroyed
They destroyed it.
all of that.
All that was gone.
And I
All of it.
agree. When I look at McCarthy, it just seems like he is just wore out. And I don't know if he has the toughness or the type of demeanor to make it uncomfortable here. I think he's just kind of like, all right. it ain't as bad as it should be. I can make this work. And I just think that's been a problem. It's too comfortable with Dallas, and they've had no success. And usually when you want to try to change things in your life or your organization or your business, you have to be a little bit uncomfortable. And sometimes that's just stepping out of the way. It's kind of like the New York Knicks owner. Remember how he just kind of stepped out the way and he's letting Tom run things. Oh, I love what the ownership in Detroit said. They said, we've been doing things the wrong way for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided we can't continue to do things that way. Well, one guy's been doing it for 30 years. he just does
Because of that money and that revenue, man.
that money and that revenue.
That
That
shit
is
is
what
never going to slow
drives.
down.
Yep,
Exactly.
that's what drives him. No one could convince me otherwise. At one point, I thought he wanted to win.
Nah, he don't want to win anymore.
He don't
He's
want
done
to
with
win.
that. Nah, he's done.
He don't want to win.
This team is done.
Yeah,
we're gonna see that this season.
yeah. They are done. And I don't know what this team will look like with Steven. To be fair, I've never seen him just run the team by himself. So I really don't know. I don't know if he'll hire a GM and let this guy do his thing. I don't know if he'll get a coach and step out the way. I know he's frugal than his father.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when I look at him, I always wonder, like, what would have happened if he did run things? Would he have given Zeke the extension? Would he have kept Lawrence? Would he have made different? It's hard to say because I just don't know. But we know with Jerry. But that is the end of our show. If this is depressing to Cowboy fans, I'm sorry. This is just reality. I am not sugarcoating it. If you believe things are going to be different, hey, that's why you're a fan. I'm going to root for the guys on this football team. I hope they have great success, but I have serious doubts. And there's no evidence that shows that it's going to be any different.
Same. I mean, we'll see how this goes. Of course, I'm always be a fan.
Exactly.
I've been a fan since '88, but me being so content with them and how things have been going on when it comes to the front office, when it comes to the personnel, like my decision with this football team every year is not going to change until that front office makes some changes. So until then, you're going to see me still be nonchalant.
Yep.
Yes, I will give props when the props are due.
Yep.
I'd love to find out when I'm wrong, and I will always admit that I'm wrong. So far, I haven't been wrong, but I want a season. I want a season where I am wrong.
No, you have it.
I want to be wrong about stuff. Like
I
really do.
I remember your tweets. You would be like, "It's the same stuff all the time." I was like, "I don't know," and then, yep, sure was. It sure was. It just never changes. It's all about the brand. It's not about winning football teams. It's not about winning football games. We're trying to aspire to win championships.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the brand. There's a great man told me, and he's watching this. He said, "Ego is a drug for the rich, and Jerry Jones is an addict."
Love that.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It's the spotlight. He's more concerned about that than anything. But thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks for Brian for being here. He is an outstanding dude. Follow him on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling nowadays. This guy knows everything about sports. Big time fan. We'll catch some basketball later or whoever's playing. Is the Mavericks playing tonight?
I think they're playing right now.
Okay, so we're going to get to that. But thank you again. Thanks, B, for joining us. We'll be back next Wednesday. Hopefully we'll have, isn't the RTOs or the voluntary mini camps or something that's going on right now?
I think I got to check that out.
Yeah, I'm not that big into that stuff. I want to see what is real football, but hopefully we'll have some things to discuss. Thanks, B. I appreciate you, man. Always.
Thank you, Jay. Thanks for having me, man. And I'm enjoying it.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. It's good. Let me cut this straight.